Hey, hope you're doing well. I watched a video from Brett Kingman the other day where he's comparing a particular Marshall amp to that same Marshall amp in the Axe FX, and I figured I might give that a go with my Silver Jubilee. So thank you, Mr. Kingman, for the cool idea. So I've pretty much set it up more or less exactly how he had it within his video. So I'm coming in input 1 with my guitar straight here into the Axe FX. So the Axe FX chain comes through the drive block into the Silver Jubilee multiplex here, which chooses the row that we're going to be using. In the cab block, I'm using the 4x12 1960 TV, this side with a dynamic and this side with a ribbon. I'm going to have some delay coming in later, and there's a bit of the London plate reverb just to make it sound a bit nicer overall. It splits off here, goes output 3 into the input on the Silver Jubilee. I do have the Jubilee going into the tube amp expander to take the load, but I'm not using that. I'm using the direct out of the back of the Silver Jubilee back into input 2, just here, which you can see I've had to boost the level a little bit, 2.5, and there's a little bit of a gate, which is different from input 1, just because there's a bit more noise coming in from the amp there. And then everything is headed out output 1. I've had a look at the Fractal wiki to see what they've done to get the Silver Jubilee in the Axe FX. Now, originally it was this Lurkst Omega, but apparently it has been updated to an actual Silver Jubilee since firmware 24.03. So it is a Silver Jubilee. As you can see just here, this model is now based on a Silver Jubilee. The Lurkst is actually almost identical, blah, blah, blah. So it's using EL34s, which is what I've got in that Silver Jubilee. I've got everything set at 5 o'clock, and you can see there on the Marshall, I've got everything set at 5 o'clock as well. Now, they do sound pretty close, but there is a little bit of a difference. This is the Axe FX Jubilee. Now, the real Jubilee. So straight up, you can hear that there is a little bit of a difference. Now that could come down to a whole heap of different things. Good to keep in mind that there is an input gain on the amp, and this technically doesn't have an input gain. I'm not sure how that's going to relate between the two, but I find this Silver Jubilee in the Axe FX has a little bit more bite and a little bit more low end. They sound pretty close, but they're obviously just that little bit different. This is definitely a Silver Jubilee sound. There's just a few minor characteristics that are different. Let's add the drive block in. I'm using the Super Overdrive, drive there at 2, tone at 5, level at 8. And this is going into the Axe FX Jubilee. I wanted to highlight just what it sounds like as the stock settings on both the Axe FX and on my real head. So I can't imagine that every amp is going to be exactly the same anyway. Kind of like how every Gibson Les Paul isn't going to be exactly the same. There's going to be slight tonal differences. I imagine it's the same sort of thing with every amp head. Without going further into it, let's go back to just the amp blocks on their own, and I'll see if I can get my actual Marshall to match the Silver Jubilee Marshall. So to me, the actual amp head sounds a bit brighter and there's a less low end. So let me just bring the treble down, boost the bass a little. So try 4 and 6-ish. See what that does. This is the Axe FX. louder now. Let's bring this back down just a smidge. Yeah, I don't know. A bit more input gain maybe? Jeez, that's closer. Now with the boost. I think that sounds pretty damn close now. So where have I settled? I got the presence back at 4, bass almost at 7, middle almost at 7, and the input gains boosted up to 7 as well. And the amp block here in the Axe-Fx has stayed at Unity, all at 5. So there you go. I mean, it sounds very much like a Silver Jubilee. There's been a couple of tweaks on my amp head, as you can see, to get it to sound exactly the same as the Axe-Fx version of the Silver Jubilee, which in itself is pretty incredible. Is this a bad thing? I mean, hell no. The fact that you can get the Silver Jubilee sound at the touch of a button is pretty insane. It's very expensive, touch of a button, but you know. So there you go. That is the Axe-Fx Silver Jubilee against a real Silver Jubilee. Please let me know what you think. Make a comment down the bottom. Axe-Fx is bloody amazing. Silver Jubilee is amazing. I'm pretty thrilled with that. To be quite honest, how that amp head has ended up is more or less how I would set my Silver Jubilee anyway. Almost everything at 7 o'clock. Straight off the bat here at 5, you kind of get that 7 o'clock perfectly dimed Silver Jubilee sound anyway. So winning. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. See you next time.